Good morning, students. We are going to continue with the second chapter. This is the second part video. We have already completed with the topics in this chapter, that is, where do microorganisms live? What are the microorganisms? What are the friendly microorganisms? How they are used in making of curd and bread? Right? What are the commercial uses of microorganisms? Till here we have already completed. Now today we are going to start with this medicinal use of microorganisms. What are the medicinal uses of these microorganisms? Here, whenever you fall ill, the doctor may give you some antibiotic tablets, isn't it? Or capsules or injections such as of penicillin. Understood? Penicillin is this medicinal uses of microorganisms. Penicillins are some certain bacteria and fungi which are used in the production of medicines, right? And that is what we called as antibiotics. And these antibiotics that destroy certain disease causing microbes. Understood? So this penicillin is obtained from what? From the fungus penicillium. Okay, this penicillin is obtained from the fungus penicillium. Understood? So the source of this medicine is what? Is microorganisms. From where this medicines are obtained, how it is obtained? The main source is what? The main source is microorganisms. Such medicines are called antibiotics. These days, a number of antibiotics are being produced from bacteria and fungi. Examples, that is streptomycin, tetracycline and erythromycin are some of the commonly known antibiotics. These are the examples of these antibiotics. What are they? They are streptomycin, tetracycline and erythromycin are the examples of this commonly known antibiotics. These medicines kill or stop the growth of the disease causing microorganisms. Even these antibiotics, they are also used to control what? They are used to control microbial diseases which producing in animals and plants. So students, the antibiotics, what is antibiotic? Antibiotics are manufactured by what? By the microorganisms, right? And they are used to what? They are used to cure a variety of diseases. Okay, so antibiotics are even mixed with the feed of livestock and poultry to check microbial infection in animals. They are also, as I told you, they are also used to control many plant diseases also. Okay, next, precautions. What are the what precautions we can take while this antibiotics when we take while administrating the antibiotics? Okay, first of all, it is important to remember that antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. You don't become a doctor unnecessarily. Don't take any medicines without any advice of any doctor or your elders. Okay, so it is very important to remember that antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. Also, you must finish the course prescribed by the doctor. Okay, ऐसा नहीं, it is not like that कि 1 or 2 days I will have my medicine, after that I am feeling so good, I will not take my medicine. It is not that. You have to completely finish your course which was prescribed by the doctor. If you take antibiotics when not needed or in a wrong doses, it may make the drug less effective when you might need it in future. Unnecessary medicine taking. See, headache is there, stomach pain is there. Like that, if you take every time medicine, if I take the medicine, then only I will be cured. No, you have some your this also. No, I without medicine also sometimes I can take care of myself, not having junk food. Have plenty of water. If you have plenty of water in a day, you will not feel any headache and all. Okay, so unnecessary or unwanted times, if you take the medicine, it will in real times when you want to take the medicine, it will not affect. So don't take unnecessary medicines. Okay, with and that also, whenever you take the medicine, take the have the advice of a doctor. Okay, then also antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill the beneficial bacteria in the body. Whichever the bacteria is present, it will kill those bacteria by taking unnecessary antibiotics. Okay, so antibiotics, however, are not effective against cold and flu, as these are caused by what? They are caused by viruses. Okay, they are caused by why? Viruses. So when disease carrying microbes, you know who discovered the penicillin? Penicillin discovered in 1929. Alexander Fleming was working on a culture of disease causing bacteria. You can see he was a Alexander Fleming. In 1929, he was working on a culture of disease causing bacteria. Suddenly he found the pores of a little green mold in one of his cultural plates. You can see this green little green mold. He observed that the presence of mold prevented the growth of bacteria. In fact, it also killed many of these bacteria. From this mold, the mold penicillin was prepared. So this is how the penicillin was prepared, because this penicillin, what it is causing, it is helping out to prevent many growth of bacteria. Okay, so this is how this Alexander Fleming discovered this penicillin in 1929, and it is good for the preventing the growth of bacteria. Next is vaccine. Do you know vaccine? What is vaccine? See, when a disease causing microbe and it enters our body, the body produces antibiotics to fight the invader. Okay, they help us, this vaccine, when we use, when this disease carrying microbes, and when they enter in a body, the body produces antibiotics for what? To fight the invader. So the body also remembers how to fight the microbe if it enters again. Okay, so if dead or weakened microbes are introduced in a healthy body, the body fights and kills them by producing suitable antibiotics. The antibiotics remain in the body and we are protected from the disease causing microbes. Understood what are antibiotics and how they occupy in our body to fight against against a disease. So if the antibiotics remain in the body, and we from that we are protected from the disease causing microbes. This is how a vaccine works. Several diseases including cholera, tuberculosis, smallpox and hepatitis can be prevented by vaccination. Right? You also have done the vaccinations, right? In the age of 1 month, 2 months, then 1 year, then 2 years, after 5 years, some vaccinations we have taken, isn't it? So from that you can be prevented from several diseases like cholera, tuberculosis, smallpox, and these are some diseases which can be prevented by what? Vaccination. Children are given injections to protect themselves against several diseases. Necessary vaccines are available in hospitals, right? Vaccines are not produced at home. We cannot manufacture at our home, isn't it? It can be done only in the hospitals. So necessary vaccines are available in hospitals. Vaccinations are given to children for protection against polio under Pulse Polio program. Drops given to children are actually a vaccine. Understood? This polio drops which is given to a children are what? Are actually vaccine. This is called oral vaccination. Drops means we are not giving any injections and all. A simple one drop in your mouth, that is called as oral vaccination. Having injections is not, it can't be called as an oral vaccination. Okay, so simple polio drops given to the children, they are called as oral vaccination. These days, vaccines are made on a large scale from microorganisms to protect humans and other animals from several diseases. So, in short, everything, the sources is what? Is your microorganisms. Understood? So, this is what about the vaccine we have learned in this chapter. Vaccines protect us from several diseases, right? Who discovered this vaccine? Vaccine discovered by Edward Jenner in 1798. He discovered the vaccine for smallpox. This man discovered the vaccine for what? For smallpox in 1798. Understood. So it is essential to protect all children against this disease. You might have seen the advertisement on TV and newspapers regarding the protections of children against polio under the Pulse Polio program, isn't it? So this polio programs which we are doing for what? For the protections from this diseases. The worldwide campaign against smallpox has finally led to its eradication from most part of the world. So these days, vaccines are made on a large scale from microorganisms to protect what from? To protect the humans and other animals from several diseases. Next, increasing soil fertility. Here, some bacteria and blue green algae are able to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere to enrich soil with the nitrogen and increase its fertility. Okay, here this bacteria and blue green algae, they are able to what? They are able to fix this nitrogen from the atmosphere. In atmosphere, you know, there are many gases, right? So they are able to fix this nitrogen from the atmosphere for what purpose? To enrich soil with the nitrogen and increase its fertility. So these microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. What they are called as? Biological nitrogen fixers. You can see the figures, how it looks like. They are nitrogen fixers. They help us to increase the fertility, soil to enrich soil, and it increases its fertility. Then how they help us to clean the environment. Cleaning the environment. You often see large amounts of dead organisms, matter in form of decaying plants and sometimes dead animals on the ground. You find that they disappear after some time. This is because the microorganisms decompose dead organic waste of plants and animals, converting them into simple substance. Understood? What they are. So, students, you have seen that the school gardener, how they make the manure. So how they used to make the manures? They collected waste of plants, vegetables, and fruits from nearby houses or from our garden itself only. You know, in our home also, at our place also, we used to put those vegetable peels and fruits peels all. We used to take and put that in a pot. Where when they put them in a pit which meant for a waste disposal, after some time what happens? It decomposed. Whatever the waste we have collected in a waste disposal, they after some time what happened? It decomposed and got converted into manure. Okay, so the plant waste has been converted into manure by the actions of what? By the actions of microbes. Whatever the microbes सब एक साथ जमा होता है तो उसके अंदर microbes presence होते हैं उनके. So that microbes are converting this waste plant into manure. So the nutrients released in the process, they can be used by the plants again. Understood? So now you have seen, okay, in waste disposal we used to put many things. Polythene bags we put, empty glasses, then broken bottles, and broken toys. You know, these parts did not undergo any such changes. They will not convert into manure. Understood? The microbes could not act on them. In such type of things, the microbes could not act on them. They will convert them, they can't convert them into manure. Understood? So large amount of dead animals, organic waste, okay, large amount of dead organic matter or waste in the form of decaying plants and sometimes dead animals on the ground. They convert them into simple substances. What they do? They convert them into simple substances. So this substance are again used by other plants and animals. Thus, these microorganisms can be used to degrade the harmful and smelly substances and thereby clean up the environment. So this you can see in the figure, from garbage to garden. This all the garbage, and then it to decompose time, and then again it goes to the garden. Understood? So this is how the microbes are helping to uh, release the nutrients in the process, and they can be used in the plants again. Understood? Then what are the harmful microorganisms? Microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of the microorganisms cause diseases in human beings, plants, and animals. Understood? So there are many microorganisms which are harmful. Some of the microorganisms cause disease also in human beings, in plants, and in animals. Such disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. What they are called? They are called pathogens. Some microorganisms even spoil food, clothing, and leather. Okay, they are such type of microorganisms which are harmful for not only for the human beings and plants and animals. It even spoil the food also, your clothes also, and the leather, right? So some disease causing microorganism in humans we see here, that is when pathogens enter our body through the air we breathe. When we breathe, the air goes inside, isn't it? So the water we drink, from the water also it can enter in our body, or the food we eat. They can also get transmitted by direct contact with an infected person or carried through an animal. Okay, this type of disease the can enter into our body. Pathogen, that type of disease we called as a pathogens. Pathogens can enter our body through what? Through air, through water, through food. Even it can transmitted by direct contact with an infected person or through an animal. Okay. So microbial disease that can spread from an infected person to a healthy person through what? Through air, water, food, of physical contact are called communicable disease. What they are called? Those this type of disease, microbial disease, that can be spread from an infected person to a healthy person. How? Through what? Through air, water, food, or physical contact. This type of infections or disease we called as communicable disease. Example of such diseases include cholera, common cold, chickenpox, and tuberculosis. So, when a person suffering from common cold sneezes, fine droplets of moisture carrying thousands of viruses are spread in the air. The virus may enter the body of a healthy person while breathing. If a person is sneezing, right, and if a healthy person is standing beside that sneezing man, so when he sneezes, he is spreading the viruses in the air, and that viruses will come in contact with us also through the air. If the air, when we breathe in, that virus can enter in our body also. In that way, we can also suffer from those disease that person was suffering. Understood? So this is how the microorganisms are harmful, and the microorganisms can clean the environment also. It can harmful to also. Understood? So harmful microorganisms in such time, there are some insects and animals which act as carriers of disease causing microbes. There are some insects or some animals which can act as a carriers of for causing such disease by this microbes. So first we will say housefly is one such carrier, isn't it? Housefly is a one such carrier. The flies sit on the garbage and animal excreta. The pathogens stick to their bodies. When these flies sit on uncovered food, they may transfer the pathogens. Whoever eats the contaminated food is likely to get sick, isn't it? What happens when this housefly, they can carry those diseases, isn't it? How? When these flies sit on the garbage or the animal excreta, right? Gobar, whatever it is. So when those pathogens stick to their bodies, when these flies sit on uncovered food, and those flies, when having those they are carried with what? With the pathogens, and those flies when sit on the uncovered food, they may transfer the pathogens to the food, and that food, whoever eats the contaminated food is likely to get the sick. It is natural, right? Next is mosquito is another carrier. Examples of carriers are female Anopheles mosquito, which carries the parasites of malaria, isn't it? So these are the example of about the mosquito, that is female Anopheles mosquito, which carries the parasite of malaria. Then female Aedes mosquito acts as a carrier of dengue virus. They acts as a carrier of what? Dengue virus. So all mosquitoes breed in water, isn't it? They all breeds where? They breeds in water. Hence, one should not let water collected anywhere. We should not collect the water in any of our vessels or drum for longer time. If you are using for one day, it's okay. For a longer time, if you keep the water unused, in that the mosquitoes can breed in the water. Even in coolers, tires, flower pot, etc. By keeping the surroundings clean and dry, we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding. This mosquito season is there right now, rainy season, because in rainy season water can store in anywhere. We were even we also not aware of that. Sometimes in pots, in somewhere else the water is collected. From in that the mosquitoes used to breed the into that, and then they start spreading the disease, isn't it? So what we supposed to do? By keeping the surroundings clean and dry, we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding. So here there is some list of measures which help to avoid the spread of malaria. These are the common human diseases caused by what? By microorganisms. Human disease, that is tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox, polio. These all causative microorganisms. What are they? Tuberculosis is caused by this microorganism, that is bacteria. Measles virus, chickenpox virus, polio virus. What are the mode of transmission? It can be air, measles also air, chickenpox air or contact, polio air or water. What are the preventive measures can be taken? Keep the patient in complete isolation. Keep the personal belongings of the patient away from those of others. Vaccinations to be given at a suitable age. So vaccination is so important that if you are not taken the vaccination in a suitable time or a suitable age, it will cause disease in your future. Okay, so take all the vaccinations in regular time. Next human disease that can be cholera and typhoid. It is caused by the microorganism, that is bacteria. The mode of transmission is water and food. So how it can be prevent? It can maintain personal hygiene and good sanitary habits. Consume properly cooked food and boiled drinking water. Vaccination is must. Then hepatitis A, it is caused by virus. Then the mode of transmission is water. Drink boiled drinking water. Vaccination is important. The last is malaria. It is caused by protozoa. That is mode of transmission we have done. That is, this malaria are parasites. So mosquito is the mode of transmission. Use mosquito net and repellents. Spray insecticides and control breedings of mosquitoes by not allowing water to collect in the surroundings. So disease causing microorganisms in animals. Next our topic is disease causing microorganisms in animals. Several microorganisms not only cause diseases in humans and plants but also in other animals. For example, anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by a bacterium. Foot and mouth disease of cattle is caused by a virus. So Robert Koch in 1876 discovered the bacterium, that is Bacillus anthracis, which causes anthrax disease. Who he was? He was a Robert Koch in 1876 discovered bacterium, that is Bacillus anthracis, which cause anthrax disease. Understood? So here are the several microorganisms which not only causing disease in humans and plants, it also causing in other animals also. Understood? Next is disease causing microorganisms in plants. Here several microorganisms cause diseases in plants like wheat, rice, potato, sugarcane, orange, apple, and others. The disease reduce the yield of crops. This disease is reducing the yield of crops. They can be controlled by the use of certain chemicals which kill the microbes. They can be controlled by the use of certain chemicals which will kill the microbes. See, you can see this is tomato. How it is? Here the microorganism they are causing disease in the fruits or in the vegetables. See the how this you can see the microbes. They are very minute. We can't see with the naked eyes. With the help of microscopic, we can see the microorganisms, isn't it? So they can be controlled by the use of chemical which kill the microbes. You can see some common plant disease caused by microorganisms. In plant disease, citrus canker, rust of wheat, then yellow vein mosaic of bhindi. Bhindi is also called as okra, right? So what are the microorganisms in that? Bacteria, rust of wheat is fungi, okra that is virus. What are the mode of transmission? It is air. Here it is air and seeds. Here okra that is insect. You can see the figure of this citrus, rust of wheat, and the bhindi that is okra. These are some common plant disease which caused by the microorganism. The mode of transmission also is given, how it can be done. Next we are going to start with the food preservations. Before that, what is food poisoning? Food poisoning, it is a conditions could be due to food poisoning. If we eat or have a variety of food stuff, if you go for a party and there we have a lots of food stuff, and after that on reaching home he started if we start vomiting and we are taken to the hospital, what the doctor says? Doctor says that these conditions could be due to food poisoning, isn't it? What is food poisoning? Food poisoning could be due to the consumptions of food spoiled by some microorganisms. Understood? Some microorganisms means which we have intaken the food, consumptions of food which we have taken. If it is what we call अगर वो कोई खाना the food is not proper cooked, or it is spoiled, or it is cooked it is of last what do you call leftover food, if we have in that some microorganisms take place, get they take the place in the such type of foods, right? So if that food when we take in consume it and it can spoil our health. So the microorganisms which grow on our food sometimes produce toxic substances also. Understood? Microorganisms that grow on our food that sometimes produce some toxic substances also. So this make the food poisons, causing serious illness and even the death also. So it is very important that we preserve food to prevent it from being spoiled. For such conditions or such um, what we say, if serious illness and if the food poison is causing the even death also, so what we have to do, we have to be very careful. It is very important that the food should be preserved to prevent it from being spoiled. Understood? So for that we use the food preservations. In chapter 1 we have already learned about the methods, how to use the preserve and how to store the food grains, isn't it? So you have already know that bread left unused under moist condition is attacked by what? Is they are attacked by fungus. Hmm? They are attacked by fungus. Microorganisms spoil our food. So spoiled food emits bad smell and has a bad taste also, and they even change the color also. If spoiling of food a chemical reaction, is a chemical reaction? Hmm? Yes, that when they consume the when we found that they were spoiled and rotten, and then also suppose she mango pickle, okay, mango pickle, our grandmother or our mama used to make that pickle. That pickles makes does not spoil for a long time. Why? Because in the pickles what they used to use, they use some preservatives so that it can stay or it can have for a longer time, right? So here this preservations, what are the use of that? This food is spoiled by microorganism. Spoiled food has bad smell and bad taste and causes food poisoning. So food can be preserved by protecting it from microorganisms. So there are several methods, there are different methods from which we can preserve the food. What are they? First one is chemical method. Chemical method, in that food like pickles can be preserved by using chemicals like salts and edible oils. Jams and squashes can be preserved by using sodium benzoate, sodium metabisulfite. These chemicals are called preservatives, isn't it? So, by first method we can preserve the food, that is chemical method. Second is by using common salt. Food items like fish, meat, amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. can be preserved by using common salt. It prevents the growth of microbes. You know, you have been seen daddies, grandmothers, they used to do such activities, right? They used to put all common salts to preserve this food, that is meat, fish, or you can say the um, mangoes, amla, turmeric, or it what they do this, they helps to destroy the growth of bacteria. Understood? So by using the common salt also, you can preserve the food. Third one is by using sugar. Food items like jams, jellies, squashes, etc. can be preserved by using sugar solution. It prevents the growth of microbes. One, one method, by using the sugar also we can preserve our food by using oil and vinegar. Food items like pickles, vegetables, fish, meat, etc. they are also preserved by using this oil and vinegar. It prevents the growth of microbes. The last one is by heat and cold treatments. That is, heating food items kill microbes. Similarly, storing food items at low temperatures prevents growth of microbes. Understood? So these are the few methods from which we can prevent our food, that is food preservations. Food preservations, in that we can prevent our food or protect our food from microorganisms. Next is pasteurization. Pasteurization means in the process of heating milk at about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chilling it to prevent the growth of microbes is called a pasteurization. Understood? The process of heating milk to about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chilling it to prevent the growth of microbes is called pasteurization. This process was discovered by Louis Pasteur. This was discovered by Louis Pasteur. Then by storage and packing also we can prevent food. That is, many food items are stored in airtight containers to protect them from microbes. So this is also one method from which we can prevent our food from the microbes, or to protect our food from the microbes. Understood? Next topic is a nitrogen cycle. In this, we have already learnt about the bacterium, that is ribosium. Rhizobium. In class 6th also and even in the 7th also. Right? It is involved in the fixation of nitrogen in the leguminous plants like pulses. Right? So this leguminous plant, this rhizobium lives in the root nodules, isn't it? Are you recalling or not? This rhizobium lives in the root nodules of leguminous plant, such as beans and peas, with which it has a symbiotic relationship. Sometimes this nitrogen gets fixed through the action of lightning. But you know that the amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains what? It remains constant, isn't it? So we will learn this about this, how the nitrogen cycle is working. In our atmosphere, nitrogen having 78% nitrogen gas. Right? Our atmosphere has 78% nitrogen gas. Nitrogen is the one of the essential constituents of all living organisms. As part of proteins, chlorophyll, nucleic acids, and vitamins. Right? They are the one of the essential constituents of living organisms as part of proteins, chlorophyll, then nucleic acids and vitamins. The atmospheric nitrogen, they cannot be taken directly by plants and animals. Understood? They cannot be directly taken from the plants and animals. Certain bacteria and blue green algae present in the soil fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and then convert into a compounds of nitrogen. Right? See, they are not coming directly with the plants and animals. This atmospheric nitrogen, first they have certain bacteria and the blue green algae which is present in the soil, they fix the nitrogen from the atmosphere, and then they convert into compounds of nitrogen, the compounds of nitrogen. Once nitrogen is converted into this usable compounds, it can be utilized by plants. Once these compounds of nitrogens in the soil, they convert, then then it can be utilized by plants from the soil through their root system. Understood? They can be used by used or utilized by plants from the soil through their root system. Then nitrogen is then used for the synthesis of plant proteins and other compounds. Understood? So here this nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, sorry, they are having this atmospheric nitrogen. They are fixing bacteria, and then blue green algae fix atmospheric nitrogen, and then it is converting the compounds of nitrogen in the soil, and then they are turning this compound, the bacteria turns compounds of nitrogen into gaseous nitrogen. Again they are entering to the atmosphere. Then what happens here, the nitrogen is then used for the synthesis of plant proteins and other compounds. Here animals feeding on plants get these proteins and other nitrogen compounds. Understood? So when the plants and animals die, bacteria and fungi which is present in the soil, they will convert the nitrogenous waste into nitrogenous compound to be used by this plant again. Understood? They can be, this cycle is going on. So here the nitrogenous waste which is taken from the compounds of nitrogen in the soil, and then it goes up by plants, then the plants is taken, that plants by eaten by the animals, and then animals into the nitrogenous waste from the excretion and death. Okay, so here the nitrogenous compound to be used by this, so certain other bacteria which convert some part of them to nitrogen gas which goes back into the atmosphere. Again they goes back to the atmosphere. So as a result, what happened, the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains what, more or less? means it almost constant only, giving to this like that the soil is going and like that is going on, used by plants and animals, then again it is going back to the atmosphere. So the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere remains constant. Understood? They remains constant. Say this: nitrogen in the atmosphere is converted into nitrogen compounds in the soil by nitrogen fixing bacteria and blue green algae. Then lightning also converted into nitrogen compounds in the soil. Then the nitrogen compounds in the soil is used by plants for the synthesis of proteins and other compounds. Animals feeding on plants get these proteins and other compounds. When plants and animals die, bacteria and fungi in the soil converts the nitrogenous waste into nitrogen compounds in the soil, which are again used by plants. Some other bacteria convert some nitrogen compounds in the soil into nitrogen gas, which goes back into the atmosphere. Hence, the nitrogen in the atmosphere almost remains what? Almost remain constant. So students, here we complete with this second chapter, that is microorganisms, friends and foe. What we have learned? We have learned that microorganisms are too small and are not visible to the unaided eyes or naked eyes. Then we learned they can live in all kinds of environment, ranging from ice cold climate to hot springs and deserts to marshy lands. Then microorganisms are found in air, water, and in the bodies of plants and animals. Then microorganisms, they may be unicellular or multicellular. Microorganisms even include bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and some algae. The virus is also there. One is virus, though different from the above mentioned living organisms. They considered as what? They considered as microbes, right? Then we learned that viruses are quite different from other microorganisms. They reproduce only inside the host organisms, isn't it? They produce in the host organisms, bacterium, plant, or animal cell. Then some microorganisms are useful for commercial production of medicines and alcohol. Then some microorganisms decompose the organic waste and dead plants and animals into simple substances, and then they are used for cleaning up the environment. Then we learned about the protozoan. Protozoan cause serious diseases like dysentery and malaria. Some of the microorganisms grow on our food and they cause what? They cause food poisoning, right? Then we learned about the microorganisms reside in the root nodules of leguminous plants. They can fix nitrogen from air into soil and increase what? They increase the soil fertility. Then we learned about some bacteria which is present in the soil. They fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert into nitrogenous compound. Then certain bacteria that converts compounds of nitrogen which is present in the soil into nitrogen gas, which is released to the atmosphere, and which is released in the atmosphere, the percentage of that nitrogens remains constant. Hope students you understood this chapter, right? Go with this chapter and learn the question answers. In textual question answers, filling the blanks, tick the correct answer, then match the following. These are the few exercises which is done in your textbook, right? Then I will send you the workbook question answers in your WhatsApp group. Okay, so go with this chapter, read it, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Till then, thank you.